Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Lorimer's Guide to Life podcast. How are you guys doing out there? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I am pretty organised. I've already done some Christmas shopping. Yeah, and it's November. I actually did some a couple of months ago because I'm super organised this year. And I've got a list and everything and it's all sorted out. And then I saw, and I haven't gone overboard. I've just bought a few little things, nothing too major. Because how many of us actually get presents that we don't like, we don't need, or we don't actually, want. I do. Hang on. Yeah. Is applause right? It'll do anyway. So that's me. So I definitely get those. And I saw a friend of mine doing a little post on Instagravy saying, stop buying presents. We can't afford it and get and go. And I can't remember. Do you know what? This is really bad, isn't it? I can't actually. Did I watch the rest of the video? Have you found that when you watch something on Instagram, right? Our attention span is about 3 seconds to look at each video. But anyway, the message was kind of like, don't get presents. Give things that you don't, that you don't want away, or something like that. Anyway, she kind of declutters, so it must be something like that. Perhaps I should have been a little bit more organised and actually gone and had a look at it before I kind of read it. But it kind of went into my whole theme of this week's podcast, which is it's usually about do something different, isn't it? And this is doing something different, and it's about inexpensive Christmas gifts. Okay, this year. Now, hopefully everything's okay. This sounds okay because I'm actually holding the microphone as opposed to having it on a stand, mainly because my desk is taken up with this most enormous plant, which I'm not, anyone who knows me, I'm not the best at house plants, right? And I've tried to kill this one by overwatering it. Yeah, I had a bit of a disaster. I was like, walked to my house going, what is that smell? And it was like stagnant water. And I thought, oh, maybe my plant needs watering. And then I sort of like, dipped my fingers in the soil and it was like floating, so I had to empty the whole thing out down the sink. I've kind of potted it. Yeah, some of the leaves are a bit dodgy. It's kind of like hanging and it doesn't, so I thought, right, I'll stick it in the spare room where it's got loads of light and it's nice and warm and the soil will dry out. Yeah, it's still soaking wet. So anyway, yeah, so but it's huge and it's on my desk, so I don't have much room. The whole office in fact looks a bit like a jumble sale at the moment. So I need to, so over Christmas time when I'm off, I've got a bit more time, that is going to happen. I am going to tidy my office and sort everything out and put everything away properly, chuck out things that I don't need anymore. Because we've all got stuff, haven't we? We keep these things. Like, why have you kept this? It's been in a box for 20 years. Do I actually need it? No. And they're the things that I'm going to be chucking out. So consequently, I am I'm holding my microphone because there isn't really enough space to sit at my desk. Podcast console is perched on there. Have I pressed record? Yeah, that's okay. Definitely have. Let's just check that bit. So I've done that before. So inexpensive Christmas gifts. So a friend of mine made like a little Christmas decoration. As a little present, and it was great and I really like it, and I've kind of got it to go on a tree. I'm actually going to buy a tree this year, and it was just really nice, and kind of it meant quite a lot because she'd taken the time to make it. And how many of us really appreciate gifts that people actually make for us, because a bit more sort of time and thought goes into those, doesn't it? So I thought, right, okay, am I going to be doing those myself? Yes, I am actually. And I'm going to be doing some social media videos on things that I've been doing, which I might have to film today because I'm kind of running out of time. When I looked at my calendar for the next 2 weeks and just went, oh dear, where am I? Am I even in my house? What am I? And I just looked at everything that I'm going to be doing and I just thought, I'm running out of time already, when we're still in November. I'm recording this in November and I've had the Christmas tunes on already as well. But anyway, so I just thought, right, so I need to do some social media. I will try and get that done today if I have time, but I may run out of time. So on this week's podcast, I'm going to be having a look at some Christmas present ideas that won't break the bank, because everyone's a bit skint this year, aren't they? Yeah, well, most people are. There's a few people actually that I know that aren't, but a lot of people are. Times are hard and people don't have a great deal of money to spend. So rather than kind of like overspending, let's just not. And I'd say I'm doing a reading at Chester Cathedral this year. If anyone's available, I'm doing it. It's on the 14th of December. Yeah, I'm doing a reading in the cathedral. Oh, it's quite exciting. And the reading is an old-fashioned Christmas. And essentially the message in the reading is that spending time with friends and family is actually really more important, than just buying gifts. And when I think back to Mum telling me about her Christmas, days and how they spent it, they were all about family coming round. And we used to drive all the way down to London and spend time with my nan and my cousins. They'd all come over. And when she was young, they used to be singing at the piano. The children would make up, a Christmas Day play with fancy dress and borrowed jewellery. And that's what we used to do as well. We used to do like this improvised play with all the cousins. And do you know what? It was great. And then followed by lunch. Well, we thought it was great anyway. I'm not sure the adults watching, but they'd probably had a bit of, wine by then. Yeah, and then we had lunch and a few small gifts. And kind of as I picture this idea of Christmas, it seems a much more wholesome one than just like kids sitting down playing on the Xbox, or a day spent looking at what other people are doing and what a great time other people are having on social media. And I've seen children with piles of presents, and those are with hardly any. But Christmas should be about, a day to spend, not an infinite amount of cash that you can't really afford on gifts. And that people will probably sort of say, oh, thanks very much for that, and then put it in a charity shop or at the back of a cupboard just as a spare gift, just in case. So why don't we just stop that this year and have a rethink on Christmas gifts? And maybe have a go, at making something, because, that's a bit more, it means more rather than just, hey, here's a whatever, I don't know. Because I always appreciate a made gift so much more because thought's gone into it. But hey, maybe that's just me. So if you don't have too much to spend, and you don't have much time to spend scrolling through the internet for ideas, I've come up with a load of ideas of things that you could actually make and actually do that aren't particularly expensive. Okay, the first idea is a hamper. Now, you might think, well, that's quite expensive. Well, there's loads of places. I've seen them in Aldi, for example. I think, do they have them? They've got hamper baskets for about $4.99. And then you're actually buying things that people like, some food and stuff that people like. All I would say is look out for palm oil. I've been actually quite horrified how many chocolate things have got palm oil in it. So just be aware of that. And I got a couple of things. I bought just a couple of like jars of stuff when I went out, and I bought, it's local from where we were, and I just got like a little kind of like bag thing to kind of go in, and I'm going to get something else to go in the back, and that's a really nice little gift, and it's a local kind of product. So you can get like a hamper, and so you could get person's favourite gifts in them, or you could do a selection of different teas and biscuits or coffees, things that people actually like and that they're going to use. Or you could get a hot chocolate hamper, chocolate to dip in, and just make sure the chocolate has been made with milk and not palm oil. And you could make a paper, sort of like a pamper gift paper. You know, I'm reading this, a pamper gift hamper. Without my glasses on. It's that obvious. How professional. It's great, isn't it? With loads of their favourite products. You can have like a cheese and cracker and chutney hamper. Or say a food hamper. If someone hasn't got much money and you don't have much money, then do like a food hamper of their favourite foods, things that that they'll definitely eat. And they'll really appreciate it because it's nice for people to have a little bit of luxury at Christmas. Or you could do a wine and beer or spirit hamper. A crafting hamper, if that person likes doing like crafting stuff, get them loads of like things like that. Or maybe, you've got loads of things that maybe you bought something that you don't actually need it, and it's still in the box. Well, why don't you think about giving that away as a gift and shoving some of that in a hamper? Or like if you've got loads of crafting stuff that you don't need, rather than just chucking it out, why don't you think, do you know what? I could probably give that to somebody else as like a little hamper gift, because they're never going to know, are they? And you see, if you are a really good cook or good baker, why not have a go at making some cookies or All you need is a jar to put them in. You could batch bake and give a few to your friends, and just put like a really nice kind of, like a nice jar. You can go and get them from various different places. You can order them from Amazon, and you could just do like a nice little homemade label and say, Merry Christmas. And then, because there's nothing nicer, isn't there, than homemade cookies at Christmas. They're really tasty, aren't they? And you could do that and give, say, some to your friend, and just, it's the thought, isn't it? It's just the luxury gift. Or you can make some luxury chocolate truffles. Luxury chocolate truffles, really tasty. As I say, it's all about the kind of like the idea of, it's giving a present and saying, I'm thinking of you, but I don't have much cash. But, and the message is more important, isn't it? Here's some homemade cookies. Yeah, you're my best friend ever. I love you loads and loads, blah, 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 blah. That's what's more important. It goes back to the whole kind of making sure we tell people how important they are to us while they're still here. And so if you're good at art, Hobbycraft have a few ideas for decorating various ceramic items with information. They've got there's a little app actually in Hobbycraft that you can download. And there's loads of little ideas, and it gives you instructions on how to do it. And I've actually gives away the clue, isn't it, for my other podcast for December of what I'm going to be doing. But there we go. I'm going to get that done. She's just desperately thinking she's not quite sure when she's going to be able to do it all. Because I'm also doing trying to get a Christmas painting done. I don't know if I'm going to do it in time. I just don't have enough time. There isn't enough time in the week. So yeah, you could make someone a bookmark, okay? And like, it doesn't have to be kind of anything particularly elaborate. You just need to cut out a piece of cardboard. You can maybe paint it and like do a little bit of a drawing on it, or you can even write on it going "World's best friend" or "My best friend" or "Jane, you're amazing," something like that, and then buy them a book, okay, that they're going to read. I used to kind of really enjoy making macrame things. That's kind of making a comeback. I used to, my mum's house used to be full of macrame plant pots, okay, that I'd made. And they were quite really easy to do and good fun to make, actually. That's making a comeback because I saw that on the internet somewhere, someone was doing that. You could, I love this idea. Okay, make some DIY Scrabble tiles, right, and then write your own message on them. So, for example, you could kind of like, you could get like a little picture frame, which they're kind of, you can buy some. Where did I see them? I think they were Hobbycraft. Or Amazon. They're only about £5. And you could get like a little picture frame. A little tiny square one. They're probably about £4 as well. So if you got all your Scrabble tiles, a couple, say like 2 or 3 picture frames. So that's about £5. Then you say you get like you got 4 friends, so that's £25. Okay, for 4 gifts. And then what you can do is you can then colour in the background, or you don't even have to. If you imagine you've got like a little square kind of black and white frame. And then you can use the Scrabble tiles to write different messages, like, one for your boyfriend saying, I love you, or your best friend saying, I love you. Or, another one saying, you're amazing. There's various little different kind of like messages. Then it's a bit more personalised, isn't it? And like you could say, like amazing Jane. I know I keep saying that, but, fabulous Fiona. You can do that with my couple of friends. And, just like things like that kind of, then they mean something to somebody, don't they? Yeah, I might do that actually. I might go actually and reassess my shopping list and go and maybe do something like that, because that's quite a good idea. And to say it's, you can kind of like glue them to the kind of board thing, can't you? And that looked quite cool actually. So I worked it all out. It was actually £11 for the whole lot. So a little bit more, and then but you could, I'm sure you could shop around and get some kind of cheaper frames. I think I just did a quick kind of calculation, but so that was for the Scrabble tiles. But if you bought and the frame, but if you bought more frames, then it probably would be about sort of £25 for 4 gifts, which is, that's not too bad. There's a lot of thought gone into them, especially if you make the message really, really personal to them. Now, see, and if you're listening for ideas for a child to make to a teacher, that's maybe one. I remember one of my teacher friends, and I've been trying to rack my brains for the life of me. I can't remember who it was. But I've definitely had a conversation with somebody, but you have to remember, I meet loads of different people. I've had in my lifetime so many different groups of friends from different areas and walks of life. And I just remember having a conversation with one person who was a teacher with a sense of dread because they knew they were about to receive 30 boxes of chocolates at Christmas time. And then they were having to try and work out a way to how to eat them. Usually they're on a diet. So if you are listening to this and if you do have any kiddies, don't get them a box of chocolates from your teacher. I know it's easier, but they would have much rather had a homemade gift from a child. And you can, there's loads of different things you could make them. Jewellery, I would say, a kind of like a picture, get them to draw something. And I say, I once received a Christmas Day decoration. I think I mentioned this at the beginning. It's one of my favourite gifts that year. And I can remember the person. I can remember the person. I know the person who made the gift, okay? And I remember the gift. Whereas I'm just racking my brains to remind myself what my mother bought me last year for Christmas. She probably gave me some money, but I can't remember. And does that make my whole point? If somebody makes something for you, it's more memorable and you remember the gift. And she's making some more again this year. And they're really great. And so what I'm doing is, and this gives you a bit of a kind of a clue about what my next kind of podcast is going to be about. But it actually needs to be social media. But I can't do it as a podcast. So I don't quite know how it's going to work. Yeah. And there's definitely going to be some social media on a tea light holder. It's a little gingerbread cottage. I bought them and I've just been painting them. And I've also used some battery-powered tea lights as well, which have got like a really realistic flickering flame, which are quite good, rather than the old candle thing, which is a bit of a fire hazard. Yeah, so anyway, I hope that's kind of given you some kind of ideas for different kind of gifts. As I say, there are loads of ideas out there, and things don't have to be that expensive. And you're better off getting people things that they actually want. I think people would probably, prefer rather than don't get anyone any smellies. People are kind of usually they don't always know. It depends who they are, but it's not everybody. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, actually, that's probably what I got as gifts for people that I didn't know very well. Hopefully they like them. But actually, smellies are quite personal, aren't they? People are always buying my mum them and she just shoves them on the top of the cupboard and then I retrieve them 5 years later and start using them up because otherwise she's not going to use them. A bottle of wine's always a good shout. That always goes down well at Christmas. But yeah, so make sure you get things that actually mean things to people. If you take your time doing something a little bit special, like I'm painting my gingerbread like little tea light houses. And I've also got some baubles and I'm going to hand paint people's names do like colours and then paint the names on the baubles. And I've also got some ideas to do it won't happen, I tell you now, because I haven't got enough time. But in an ideal world, I've got some ideas to do like a little Christmas kind of like scene as well. And maybe give that to somebody. That would be quite nice. As I say, it's not going to happen. And they're doing that at my art class today, but I just don't have enough time to kind of go there and get there today because time's just a bit short this time of the year, isn't it? Okay, so so it's about 20 minutes. I know my podcasts are usually a little bit longer. I do apologise, they are a bit shorter at the moment, mainly because time is just running away with me. Anyway, I hope you got some good ideas from that and just kind of the take-home message that you don't have to spend like lots of money to give a nice Christmas gift. The smaller Christmas gifts that somebody's made are the ones that actually stick in people's minds. And, make sure you spend time with your fans, friends and family while they're here to spend time with. And I think that's the take-home message that I kind of want to give to everybody this year. It's not what you get somebody, it's the memories that you create that are more important, as another piece of my plant has fallen off. Oh dear, it's not going well. All right then, well, take care. I will speak to you before Christmas because I've got a couple of podcasts to still record. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.